Hey, so let's do some Dallas Cowboys thank you, no thank you notes after, as I say, closing out the season the correct way. I'm sure a lot of people will not agree with that, but I think it was the correct way. It is crazy to think about how much people talk about this being a dysfunctional organization, and I totally get why people say that. This is the first time since 2000 to 2002 the Cowboys have had back-to-back losing seasons. And so that's the issue I always have when people say the Cowboys are the worst organization. I'm like, well, that's just silly. They're clearly not. They might be the most mediocre organization, but they're not the worst. For whatever that's worth. I don't know if that's like a ringing endorsement of the Cowboys, but I guess
they're mediocre.
Yeah.
They're not the
Thanks
worst.
for not being the worst, but no thank you for being the most mediocre.
Well, and that's the thing is they've hovered between mediocre, sub-mediocre, and above mediocre.
Right.
But they've never gone full either way. Right? Like they've always kind of been in this window of, yeah, they can beat the mediocre teams and the sub-mediocre teams, but not the good teams. Or,
right.
Man, they can't even beat the mediocre teams. And that doesn't just go like that chart that I created this year. That chart's been out there for a long time on this Cowboys organization. And that's a frustrating thing. So I understand where you're trying to make it feel a little easier, but it doesn't. Because it feels like, was it Mike Fisher that created the treadmill of mediocrity?
Right.
It feels like you are kind of stuck in that place of how do we get out of it? And the leadership, you question whether or not they know how to get out of it. Because over their time, they haven't done anything but that. So you're balancing that act back and forth, and I don't love it so much. I'll say thank you to Javon Clowney for getting his 3 sacks. We'll talk about him at 1 o'clock also. But I have a question about him.
Oh, no. Is he going to be in the misses, Alec? I feel like Javon Clowney's going to be a miss. Oh, I don't like it. And it didn't even happen yet. I don't like it. Didn't even happen yet.
My question, though, is, because I was listening to the post-game show yesterday with Woolchuck and Broadus, as everybody should do. And they were having that discussion of who's back already, kind of having that Old Yeller conversation and everything. And Jadeveon Clowney, I've felt like for the last 5 years, he's kind of been a hired mercenary every step of the way. Maybe he's at a point where he's like, I'm tired of that. I want to find a home to finish my career. And the Cowboys is where I want to be. Effective-wise, Kevin, we'll have to go through that. But did he show me enough leadership on the defensive side of the ball this year to say, I have to have that guy back? Or is it, he's a good player, and I like to have talent?
I think it's that second one, and I think it's the fact that he can rush the passer and kind of contain the edge or help stop the run, which you don't really have that.
Right. Yes. No, you do not.
Unfortunately.
No, yeah, you have a lot of work to do to get to that. And so that's where I liked what I got, but maybe it is one of those, I just don't feel like he's ours. Maybe I probably feel more like Javonte is ours than I do him.
I totally get that. Can I tell you, I'm going to go back 2 weeks to something Clowney said that might change your mind. Or it changed my mind a little bit, I guess I'll say, is he talked about maybe wanting to get it going a little bit earlier. And he was like, I feel like I had some rust in these first few games. I would love to knock that off. And now it might be a scenario where, being at camp and stuff like that. And I'm not saying you're going to be like, oh, Jadeveon Clowney is ours. But maybe it could take a step towards the fan base embracing him even more.
Okay, I can get down with that. It felt like, again, not camp part. Feels like a hired mercenary. Feels like, hey, look, we know we need this. I'll wait until you're all ready. He comes into camp. He's like, look, I know where teams and organizations are built, and it's built in the relationships first. Yeah. You build those, and then you all get on the same page together. So maybe that could be a thing that I could root for right there.
From the 469, no thank you to the Cowboys. In my work pick'em, I ended 1 point behind the lead because I thought that even with Dak and the starters playing a half, the Cowboys would surely beat the terrible Giants. And then that kind of goes along with this. From the 832, Kevin, I'm a little bit behind, but I think it's crazy that teams like the Giants wouldn't work harder to lose. They could have gotten the number 1 pick and then traded out and hopefully built up assets for a Super Bowl powerhouse. That perplexes me too, especially since the Raiders won yesterday. You can go back, and now the Giants, I think, are picking 5th. But in the moment, it's kind of I think it was Max Crosby who said this. He was like, hey, man, I don't give a damn about the draft pick. Like, I'm going out there and Javon Clowney, like, I'm paid. I'm a professional, and I'm going to go out there and play my best. And so I think that's the thing, is you can have all the ideas in the world. Like, to me, it was playing younger players. All right, well, Jaden Blue looked pretty good out there. Now, I know you lost the game, but, like, what if you would have won because of Maffa and Jaden Blue? Mm-hmm. Well, I can't get that mad at it because I'm like, well, I wanted you to play younger players, and you did, and it turned out they played really well. Like, I can't be upset with that, you know?
Yeah, and somebody said the R's thing doesn't resonate with me. Figure out a way to win, which should include free agents, drafting mercenaries. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you on that completely. I do add in this, like, there seems to be, and that's not where I am right now, whenever it's your guy, you're like, oh, he's part of the fabric. He's part of the thing that we can build on.
Right.
And that's what I mean is I don't know if I believe that Clowney is a thing to build on or just a piece you bring in for 1 year at a time. But maybe he is a thing because somebody was saying he was the one yelling yesterday to decline the penalty so that as Raku could get the sack yesterday.
Yeah.
So, hey, he's looking out for that. I did love seeing the guys saying, hey, give us that football. We need the football. Jaden Blue got a touchdown.
Okay, how do you feel about Donovan Ezeraku? Because I could see a no thank you note for getting kicked out, especially from Bobby. But on the flip side, do you give a thank you note to, hey, I'm glad that you give a damn?
Yeah, no.
You want players in Week 18 that give a damn.
I want to see some fire out of him, obviously. I want to see that growth. I feel like we did see the growth this year out of him. And, yeah, he did care. He was fired up about it. Kevin, I feel like we kind of set the bar at 4, somewhere in that number, and people were like, if he doesn't get 6, it's ridiculous. And I was like, he'll be lucky to get 3. And I think that proved itself yet again this year. Keep an eye on that. Don't rush these pass rushers into 12 sacks. It doesn't happen that frequently always.
I don't know if you've ever heard somebody say that.
But I was right again. So,
but the great Tom Landry once said, you need to give a defensive lineman 3 years, unless you have a defensive lineman in his 3rd year that is clearly not good, and then you could just move on from him like Mozzie Smith. I don't think Tom Landry said that last part, but the rest of it stays firm. No thank you note to the Cowboys for continuing to be awful with the penalties. So they came into this game with the 2nd most penalties in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's gotten enough play this year because of how disappointing or up and down the Cowboys season has been.
You're already piling on.
Yeah. You got new players, you got a new coach, still lots of penalties. You were 2nd most in penalties going into this game. And then what happened? You had 9 penalties for 94 yards. So no thank you to the general Cowboys organization for continuing to get penalized all over the place.
They're still a very undisciplined team. And Kevin, that was something we thought was supposed to be changed with the culture. And you're still hearing about culture.
Yeah.
Even though people say that it's not that important. But it's a real thing.
Yeah.
The discipline part of it. If everybody in that room slaps the dude that goes, hey, man, you're the reason we jumped off sides. That dude might not jump off sides next time because he's scared to do it. The accountability part of it. It's still an undisciplined team.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm trying to decide how to phrase this right. No thank you note to the Cowboys for doing a sell job of smoke and mirrors about how important this game was.
Right.
I'm going to go back to CeeDee Lamb. This was before this game. I know CeeDee Lamb doesn't control the play calls and everything like that. I realize that. I believe momentum is real. I will say it's going to be a long offseason with a lot of different things going on, but I do feel like if we go out here and play in dominant fashion, it can propel into next season. All right, so does that mean that the Cowboys are already behind going into the offseason? Because you got your ass kicked, and then CeeDee Lamb had 1 catch for 4 yards.
Yeah.
And again,
catch,
yes. And I realize he's not calling the plays or necessarily dictating who gets all the playing time, but just across the board, this organization was like, oh, it's so important. You were losing at halftime, and they're like, that's who cares?
Yeah, I'm 1,000% with you. I didn't feel like they gave justice to what they said. They had a plan. They were just trying to keep you hooked for just a little bit longer. That being said, I will say thank you to the rookie running backs for both getting touchdowns.
Yes.
Congratulations to both rookie running backs for getting that. I have high hopes for Phil Maffa down the road. But as Jerry Jones has told us, he told Christy Scales, these guys, we got to see if they can block and protect that quarterback.
So on the fumble with the botched exchange, maybe stepped on foot. I didn't see.
He missed.
Okay.
He was not stepped on. He just missed his footing.
So I didn't see the play as it happened straight away. I had to watch a replay. I thought they handed the ball to Phil Maffa and he immediately fumbled. And I was like, son of a gun. But then when I watched it back, I was like, okay, well, Dak's not going to lose his job on the team. We're going to be just fine.
You know, I was curious about, and I know we got time here. I was curious, when he did almost fumble, was that Schottenheimer going, dadgummit, I can't trust this rookie, and then he finds out it's not a fumble, but it's now stuck in your head, right? Like, oh, we had to go through this, and maybe it wasn't. The forgiveness part of it, you got to go back and be like, oh, he didn't fumble, and I don't need to put that on him. I think that's something that I hope it doesn't play with him very, very much longer.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.